Omar Bongo of Gabon, one of the world's longest ruling heads of state, was buried Thursday in his native province. After a week-long state funeral that saw nearly 24 world leaders pay their respects, the 73-year-old Bongo became president in 1967 and died in office last week after a 41-year rule, longer than any other president except Cuba's Fidel Castro. The late president was buried in the eastern Gabonese city of Franceville, located 500 kilometers from Libreville.
Joining us now to talk about Mr. Bongo and his role in Gabon is Emira Woods, Director of Foreign Policy in Focus at the Institute for Policy Studies. Welcome.
Great to be with you, as always.
Well, it is thank you very much, Emira, to be with you here. Now, any death in Africa is mourned. That is the African tradition. But really, Omar Bongo, what is his legacy that one can talk about today after his long rule?
Well, it's difficult because the African tradition is also to not speak ill of the dead. But here, in this case, you have the longest-standing ruler in this world, actually. Bongo had been in office since 1967. And I think it's a rule that's been characterized by two things. First, oil, the control of oil. Oil was discovered in Gabon not long after he took office. And second, you have all these misdealings between the oil companies and Western elites. So ELF, the French oil company, has been notable in Gabon, both for channeling funds to officials in the political party that they favored, and also channeling funds in the other direction, from Gabon to, it's rumored, Chirac and other key political leaders in France during their campaigns.
It's significant that the former president of France attended the funeral, also the current president.
Absolutely. Sarkozy was there. Sarkozy was one of the first to make a statement applauding Bongo for his term of office. But I think it's also notable that China was there. China is very much interested, like the United States, in oil from Africa. And so the presence of the Chinese is also something that we should note in the funeral entourage, I guess you'd say.
The British Times, Sunday Times, last year actually, June, reported that Bongo and his family had about 33 properties in Paris, including luxury homes there. How does that compare with the state of the people of Gabon?
Well, that's the thing. You have this almost two different worlds, a world of the elites that have benefited from the oil, and the other world, those on whose land the oil lies, those on whose land the resource lie, end up completely, it's almost as if they were living back in the 1950s, the life of their grandparents, even before the oil was discovered. So there is this dual nature of what has happened in terms of the resource wealth. It has been concentrated in very few hands. And I think it's important to also look at the role of the banks, the international banks, particularly U.S. banks, that are rumored to have, some say, 70 accounts with hundreds of billions of dollars, it's estimated, in international accounts for the Bongo family. And it is critical for us to not only look at the funeral today, but look at opportunities to retrace and also repatriate those assets that really belong to the people of Gabon.
How do you describe the nature of the people who kind of later person ruled them for such a long time? Is it something about countries, or is something just way beyond them?
Clearly, it is about power and the opportunity for those in power to hold on to it with support of outsiders. I think Gabon is a story of geopolitical forces having their sway in a political process internally. So you have had, clearly, France, also the United States, a number of Western countries playing a very heavy hand in determining the future, the destiny of Gabon, all of these decades. And it is opportunity now, especially as we see what's happening in countries like Iran, opportunity for people to choose their own destiny, to choose their own leaders freely and hold those leaders accountable.
What lesson is there for the rest of the African continent?
That, it is long past. We are now well into the 21st century. It is long past time for people to have a say in their future, for resources to actually benefit those on whose land those resources lie. We cannot have economic stability nor political stability until the needs of the majority, the needs of the masses are actually attended to.
Thank you very much, Emira, for giving us those insights. That is Emira Woods, who joined us today. She is from the Institute of Policy Studies here in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vincent.